Are we going?
We are live.
If you're calling in right now, and you're lucky caller number 7. Oh, wait, you're not calling in because you don't have a number. But if you skip ahead 5 minutes, if you're listening in the present, that won't help you. But if you're listening in the future, that'll tell you right when the music goes. So skip ahead 5 minutes.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah. I tell you, I even gave this on my blurb for it on my website. I even called it the Wake Up Jim edition because Jim fell asleep last week.
I get
That's
that.
terrible.
I mean, it's hot. Hey, Mark's here.
Holy cow! The heavens have split open.
I know.
He fell asleep listening to our podcast?
No, he fell
Before.
asleep and missed it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the missus and I were just sitting here arguing, and we are live, by the way, arguing the difference between the cult and the cure.
No, we weren't arguing the difference. It's just he enjoys calling the cult the cure, and I pointed out that Ian Astbury and Robert Smith are two different people, and in fact, those are two different bands. And so then we were looking at the number of people who have actually been in the band, the Cult, for the past 40 years.
Like 45.
Yeah, a bunch. But they've had the same singer. They've had the same singer.
Yeah. So when did you bring up Rick Astley? Never gonna let you.
We talked about Rick Astley about something
put you down
a couple months ago. Why?
Well, no, because you mentioned that he was the lead singer of the Cult.
What?
I'm kidding. You gave the right. I mean, like I know the singer's name. You gave the right name, and I was just goofing with you.
But anyway, then we were talking about Van Halen and about Van Halen really with David Lee Roth and then with Sammy Hagar, two different bands, really, both good bands but different bands because they both have a very different sound.
And Quizzer joined us. Hey-o.
Hello, Quizzer.
All right. And do you prefer? Are you a Van Halen or a Van Hagar fan? Which one is better, Mark?
Van Halen.
Huh?
Van Halen.
Van Halen.
See, all guys prefer Diamond Dave over Sammy, and I'm a Sammy fan. Call me a heretic. I prefer Van Hagar over Van Halen.
I mean,
Sammy's got the better voice.
The first Sammy Hagar, the first one with Hagar in it, the first album he put out with Van Halen,
5150
was okay. Yeah,
that's a great album. I mean, that's a great album.
They had some really great songs on there and stuff, but after that, it just was like, yeah.
And what about the
And
Crystal
frankly,
Pepsi
I
album?
prefer. My favorite's still 1984. So.
And OU812 was a good album too.
Here's my analysis. When Hagar joined Van Halen, both of them became more of a pop band. I mean, and they went from both of them were hard rock, and then they went to pop, and they made a lot more money that way. But
see, and I would argue that they just changed with rock music.
Or they changed rock
music because you had Jack Blades. Who else was it that went into Damn Yankees? I can't remember. But those guys were all hard rock guys, and they were in Damn Yankees. Come on, their biggest song. Yeah. I thought Ted was in there, but I couldn't remember for sure.
So
it was just that rock music had changed, and what would make you money was different in 1988 than it was in 1982.
So what does it say that YouTube suggests that I watch the movie Downfall?
I don't know. What is that movie?
That's the one where the Hitler clip comes from, where he's Steiner.
Oh, okay. The meme
clip. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's got that, and it's got the Phantom Toll Booth, Cowpens, America's Most Perfect Battle, and then Peter Frampton.
We have 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's just this is weird.
Until it's go time. Well, I'm going to hit the thing when it hits straight. You can see that.
Of course, you're going to hit the thing. Hit the thing.
It's not quite time. We have 10 seconds.
Highest codex.
You just keep on blathering, because I'm going to do this.
Bants and Bants.
Bants and Bants.
All systems go.
Bants and Bants.
Defiance.
Bants and Bants.
This rebel has a cause.
Bombs and Bants.
We begin as wanderers, and we are wanderers still.
Welcome, everyone, to the 95th live edition of Bombs and Bants and Wednesday Rants. As always, I am your dedicated and oh-so-humble host, John Wilder, coming to you from the penthouse control room of the majestic Wilder Industry skyscraper. With me, as always, is Mark.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Excellent, excellent. And deep in the bowels of the earth, the missus is in the bunker at an undisclosed control center.
And the missus is incensed because you heathens cannot appreciate the brilliance of Sammy Hagar with Van Halen. I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, I'm not going to discount Diamond Dave here in this argument, but I cannot abide this bashing of Sammy Hagar.
And what I'm saying is,
the Red Rocker.
When you had Sammy and you had Van Halen, you had two good bands. And then when you had Van Hagar, you were just down to one. So, better to have two than just one.
That's true. Okay, so when you had Diamond Dave with Van Halen, you had one good band. When you had Diamond Dave going out on his own and split from Van Halen, you still had one good band.
No.
Oh, come on. We went to go see... Okay, so I worked for a radio station, and we brought Diamond Dave to town. He was playing a bar, and ticket sales were so bad for that. We had to get as many people on the will call list as we could, just so it wouldn't look like there was nobody at the freaking concert.
Yeah.
It was anybody that we could get to go to that concert, we put down on the get in for free list.
And this wasn't the one that I went to, right?
No, it's not. This was a different one.
So I went to go see David Lee Roth in that same town. And so
same bar, I believe.
Yeah, same bar. And so he wanted to call someone, a female, up on stage to sing Yankee Rose with him. And the boyfriend was like, nope. Completely noped him out. So, I think that David Lee Roth just had to hold his hand up there and sing Yankee Rose to his
by himself.
By himself. All right.
He did not get to sing it to his special lady.
How are you doing, Mark? We haven't even gotten to that at all. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
Good weekend?
Pretty much, yeah.
Everything I'm reading says that the earth is so hot. Oh wait, no, that's Florida. You Idaho's near Florida, right?
They share a border.
It's on the same continent. Yeah.
Okay. I'll move into the big show. A couple of big problems, because we've got a lot of stuff to go through, have been brewing for Resident Brandon Magoo. First of all, the allegations that he may have taken a bribe to the tune of $5 million American dollars, and those aren't even metric dollars, when he was vice president. Senator Chuck Grassley last Thursday released a confidential FBI informant's unclassified document. It's got a name and stuff.
The FD 1023,
document,
yeah.
Cites an unnamed source who recounts a series of interactions in 2015 and 16 with Mikhail Zolchevsky, chief executive of Burisma. That's the Ukrainian energy firm that hired Hunter Biden, whose main attributes are he could really snort coke off a hooker.
Well, and apparently this guy in the affidavit that he said, this Zlochevsky guy, says that his dog is smarter than Hunter.
Yes, literally he said that. The other scandal involved. Okay, so he was forced to pay Joe and Hunter $5 million each in exchange for firing a Ukrainian prosecutor named Viktor Shulkin, who was purportedly investigating Burisma at the time. The other scandal involves the IRS investigation into Hunter's finances that finally resulted in a slap on the wrist, but that's not so.
Yeah, except that got reversed today.
That's changed, and that's part of Think Real Fast, so we won't go into depth there. 2 IRS agents have testified as whistleblowers and suggest that the Department of Justice interfered. Can you imagine that? I'm shocked.
Shocking.
Into the president's son's investigation. It's the scandal that George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley commented on Fox News Sunday.
what was particularly disturbing is that it turns out that people inside of the Justice Department were raising what some of us were raising outside the Justice Department. That is, we were writing columns saying, isn't the statute of limitations about to run? Why aren't you doing anything on these crimes from like 2014, 2015? These whistleblowers said, we raised the same issue, and in fact there was a deal on the table that would extend that statute of limitations, and Weiss allowed it to run. The question is why? Why would he tell these whistleblowers he didn't have this authority? Why, when prosecutors signed off on multiple felonies, did it just somehow mysteriously die? All of those are very serious questions, and why this scandal is becoming one of the most significant of my lifetime. I mean, if half of this is true, we're dealing with a major scandal in the United States.
And that's the kicker of it, right? Even if half of what they're saying is true is actually true, it's huge.
But there's proof of so much of it, and in their own documents. And this is, this has been covered up far better than Watergate ever was. But back then it was the press going, "Hey, look at this," and now it's, "Shh,
don't look
at
this."
Nothing to see here.
Well, the only media that's covering this is Fox News and the New York Post.
Mm-hmm. Everybody else is to Trump,
right?
To Trump.
Oh, we'll get him now. We'll get him this time.
If it wasn't for you wily kids, I'd have gotten away with it too.
Right.
So let's move away from Hunter and Brandon, because we'll have a little bit more on them. Well, we'll get a little bit more of them in just a minute. So we do have we do have a food product advertisement.
Mom, what's for dinner?
Hey, moms, is this a question you get every night? And when you answer, all you hear is,
"Again? That's so boring."
Well, you can make your dinners go from no way to oh yay with a little help from Human Burger Helper. When the kids get tired of the same old thing, night after night, try some tasty, nutritious cannibalism. And it's easy to prepare. In just under 30 minutes, you can have a hot, tasty meal on the table and ready to eat. All you have to add is the meat, so give the neighbors a call and have them over for dinner with new Human Burger Helper, and hear your family go from to
Hey, Mom, can I have seconds?
Of course, dear. The Petersons have a big family, and we have Human Burger Helper.
And of course, for Jim, you need to play.
I was looking for it. I just hadn't gotten there yet. Just for Jim.
Massive cannibalism.
That's right.
All right.
So stock up on Human Burger Helper now. That way you can have a tasty variety when the apocalypse
ends. And it's even better if your neighbor's named Raul.
That's right.
Just having a little Spanish food tonight. All right. Speaking of Brandon Magoo, the I word has been flitting around in Congress in regards to the resident. And the word isn't just imbecile. Here's Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. On Hannity.
Hannity, this is rising to the level of impeachment inquiry, which provides Congress the strongest power to get the rest of the knowledge and information needed. Because this president has also used something we have not seen since Richard Nixon, used the weaponization of government to benefit his family and deny Congress the ability to have the oversight.
This is my shocked face.
I know, right?
Well, and again, so how far is would that go? It would go.
This is so much worse than Watergate.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm. You sound chapped, my friend.
Oh, I am.
This one really sticks in your craw, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, it's one thing to try to cheat in a presidential election that you were going to win in a slam dunk anyway, which is what Nixon did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if this is true, the person who's sitting in our White House took bribes from someone who's essentially our enemy.
Someone's.
Right.
No, they took money.
And either and there's that, and then there's the quid pro quo with the Ukraine thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets money Shokin gets fired, and now we funnel more money into Ukraine.
And Ukrainians funnel the money back through Samuel Bankman-Fried to where? To the Democrat Party.
Well, and I can't believe anyone, not even the New York Post has connected this stuff with the Ukraine and the money from Ukraine to the Ukrainian war. The fact that we're shoving billions and billions of dollars into it.
Okay. Well,
surely those two things aren't related at all, right?
As Jim Wetzel, I think he has the ending line for this segment. McCarthy's talking, big deal, making when something happens, and it won't. You're right, Jim.
That's true. The Senate has I guess I read somewhere that the Senate has indicated to the House, we're not interested in doing anything on this right now.
Yep. The 18-year-old son of basketball great LeBron James, who's named Bronny, I guess, is...
Well, I would imagine his name is LeBron Jr. and they call him Bronny, though why they couldn't call him Lee, which would be a much less stupid name. But anyway.
Yes, indeed.
Not the kid's fault.
He's resting comfortably after his heart attack.
Yes.
Casey, yeah, because it's completely normal for 18-year-old athletes in peak condition to have, heart attacks. Why don't you hit the audio tape?
All right, well, this is Casey Kiernan from the YouTube channel AM Hoops.
It's amazing news that Bronny James is stable. A doctor from ABC News said immediate CPR and AED shocks saved his life. Every second without intervention is dangerous to the brain and body, but Bronny is already out of the ICU, which means the doctors did a fantastic job.
Or it could just be that he has an 18-year-old heart. And he's an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm sure he's fully vaccinated though.
The wonders.
Well, he won't get COVID.
There's nothing he won't do.
That's the important part of that.
Suddenly.
But all kidding aside, his dad's kind of an idiot, but he's a kid. Mm-hmm. All the best to him, and hope he gets better, and hope he's playing again soon.
Indeed, because residents in Kleinmachau, a suburb of Berlin,
as seen here on the map.
Kleinmachau. It probably means something like little fluffy bunny.
Yes, fuzzy bunnies playing in the spring.
Well, klein, I think, is a little small. So, are resting a little easier this week after authorities have determined the mysterious animal prowling around the neighborhood is not a lion.
Police in Berlin have been telling people to stay indoors. There had been reports of a lioness on the loose, so the cops went on the prowl, big time. Their search team involved 2 helicopters, 30 police vehicles, 100 police officers, infrared cameras, hunters, and a vet. Finally, on Friday, the police called it all off. Not a single indication of any lion. They did, however, spot some wild boar and apparently are left with a hefty bill for the search.
Here's the video of it that someone took that they reported. And it does kind of look like it could possibly be a cougar. But the police...
Please don't use gendered language.
I got to find that now.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
But good news, it's only a wild boar.
Aren't
wild boars really dangerous, though?
They can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely can be. But the other thing I was going to note is the Germans haven't mobilized that much since they marched towards Moscow.
Well,
and Jim notes it's a chupacabra.
Yeah, it could be. Are you going to read the joke at the end of that?
Oh, is there a joke at the end?
Yeah,
doctors right there. Fantastic. Oh, yes. Of course, since the burb is located so close to European capital, young men in the area have been warned to remain on the look for prowling cougars.
There we go.
It's official. Mike and Jamie Jack of Ontario, Canada are the world's spiciest kissers. The couple entered the Guinness Book of World Records by each eating a raw habanero pepper and then kissing for 15 solid minutes. 15 minutes and 46 seconds, actually. Jamie prepared for the event by eating a habanero every day for a month. Mike says the key to practice is to practice because you don't want to throw up in someone else's mouth.
I think that's just good advice for everyone. And she doesn't look like she's as way into it as he is. Of course, he has his own picture on his t-shirt, so.
Oh, Bean. Yep, he doesn't have his own picture.
That's what I need to get you for your birthdays. I need to get you a t-shirt with your own picture on it. Wait a minute, you already have one of those. They're available in our shop at Cafe Press. Check the if you're interested in your own t-shirt with John Wilder's picture on it, make sure you check the description.
Indeed. So onward, because while we're on sports of a sort, there is one of my favorites.
This Sunday only, Slapcop Productions teams up with Unpainted Ukraine and John's Hammer Emporium to bring you a night of entertainment so big.
How big is it?
It's so big that the Metro Civic Center Pavilion Arena can hardly hold it.
Oh my.
That's right. It's Midget Hammer Fighting. Come watch your favorite little person get after it with his big stick.
On the undercard,
Rowdy Runty Piper, Tyrannosaurus Rex, Tom Thumb in Your Eye, Dinky Dangerous Dan, and many more.
Plus, to finish off the evening, 2 hammers go in, 1 midget comes out. It's the edge of your seat action of the Steel Pin Death Match, featuring Paul, the half-pint pugilist Bavario, and Doug.
Yep, just plain old Doug.
Yep, just plain old Doug. Get your tickets now for the tiny terror of Midget Hammer Fighting. You'll buy the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
A Slapcop Entertainment production.
In his defense, plain old Doug is kind of a badass. So
there you go. Codex notes. Now there's a T-shirt. Midget Hammer Fighting.
I will get to work on that.
Well, keep in mind, Codex is an artist.
Oh yeah. We also have a new coffee mug that's available, a Bonds and Bants coffee mug. But I made them personally, one personally for John Wilder and one for me. And then I was like, I should put these in the store, but now I can't figure out how to do it. So I have to wait until Pugsley has some time so you can show me how to do that. Coming soon.
you click the mouse like this. Okay. How did our son end up being Italian? All right.
And a plumber. So weird.
Yeah. He looks just like a Mario. But your princess is in another castle. All right. That brings us to.
This is Neil Young.
Hey, get that jackass out of here.
And I'm proud to present my Braying Jackass of the Week.
All right. Oh my gosh. You're going to be shocked to hear that up first is Vice President Kamala Harris. She's been unusually adept at ducking her handlers this month because she keeps finding hot microphones to make noises into. Here she is casting her brilliance on the new history standards in Florida.
Just yesterday in the state of Florida, they decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
Do you think it would be out of line if maybe Ron DeSantis should call for a personal meeting with Kamala Harris and then live on TV suggest to her, we'll revise the standards if you can point out the states that were members of the Confederacy?
Well,
I'll wait.
She's been in this confusion. Dr. William Allen, former chairman of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. I'll do this in the NPR
in your NPR voice. Okay.
Says Harris was way off when she claimed in a speech last week that the standards suggested slavery was beneficial to Black Americans. The only criticism I've encountered so far on the new curriculum is a single one that was articulated by the vice president which was an error. Allen, who was black, told ABC News, as I stated in my response to the vice president, it was categorically false. It was never said that slavery was beneficial to Africans, said Adams, who was on the working group that helped devise the curriculum. Oh,
I know.
Kamala, she's just the gift that keeps giving.
She
All
is.
right. But
you know what? If Biden gets impeached, he'll be president.
She is the biggest insurance.
I lost my Kamala drop. Where did it go?
The world will never find out. Well,
oh, wait, there it is.
She's such an idiot!
There we go.
All right. And Jim's already voting for number 1, but he hasn't heard number 2.
That's true.
We have a pair of possible in this number 2 spot. This would be a joint prize winner. Harvard Law School professor Mark Tushnet and San Francisco State University political science Aaron Belkin. The Newsbot has the details.
Harvard Law School professor Mark Tushnet and San Francisco State University political scientist Aaron Belkin last week penned an open letter to the Biden administration on popular constitutionalism to demand that Biden take action against what he has already deemed not a normal court because of some of its controversial recent rulings. The pair wrote, "We urge President Biden to restrain mega justices immediately by announcing that if and when they issue rulings that are based on gravely mistaken interpretations of the Constitution that undermine our most fundamental commitments, the administration will be guided by its own constitutional interpretations." End quote. While the professors say they've advocated expanding the Supreme Court as a necessary strategy for restoring democracy, they countered that greater action is needed, since the threat that mega justices pose is so extreme that reforms that do not require constitutional approval are needed at this time.
So to boil that down, what these two jackasses, maybe I'm poisoning the jury pool there. What these two fine, upstanding academic gentlemen are suggesting is that when the administration does not agree with rulings of the Supreme Court, they should just do whatever they want and ignore the Supreme Court and just become a dictator. Just make up the laws as you go along.
I think there was an enabling act. Oh, wait, that was a different country. All right, audience. We have 2 very strong contenders. It's always hard to beat the Kamala at her own game, but boy, these professors are a pretty big argument for a shared victory. Oh, Tim's coming up for 1. Jim says those guys are just evil. It's worse than jackassery, but it's different from jackassery. So Jim says number 1. Codex says number 1. If this were but the evil. So we have a strong vote here for number 1. What do you think, Mark?
It's difficult to say, but I would point out that the Democratic Party has a long history of subverting the court or ignoring rulings that they don't like, starting with Andrew Jackson, which was at the very beginning of the Democratic Party. So, and FDR was going to stack the court and threaten them and basically force them to change holdings and so forth to allow him to massively expand the courts. So that's something that Democrats have done for almost 200 years. So Kamala Harris, or Camel, whatever. I call her Camel Toe Harris, but anyway, she
Mark's spicy.
She is I don't know the other one's evil, but she is trying to foment racial hatred and strife, which I think in my mind is a little bit more evil than just the standard Democrats. We don't, the court's evil when they don't agree with us. So I'm going to go with number 1 as well.
And she's saying it from the pulpit of the vice presidency too.
And now, if we're counting votes like the Democrats, it would be 521,000 for number 2, and then 3 for number 1. But I'm hearing it a little differently, and it's obviously clear the people have spoken. Number 1, Kamala, still the reigning asshole.
See, she really needs to know how popular she is on this segment with our listeners, because it would be the one poll that she leads in constantly. The only poll, yeah. And this has been Neil Young's Braying Jackass of the Week.
All right.
More clap for the vice president.
Well, she's had plenty of experience with clap.
Experience with the clap, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. That means it's time for...
Oh, missed it.
Think real fast.
And we have...
Oh.
Yep.
See, you didn't warn me about that.
Yep, we got a bunch of that.
Breaking news.
Hunter Biden's plea deal collapsed just as some shenanigans elapsed. Mark, do you think the judge found the slap on the wrist was just too hard?
Yeah, probably. Well, I don't want to use gendered language, but I'm sure the judge, I'll go that route.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
She's female, so is she a judge?
Yeah, well, didn't want to mess up her nails with that slap, so.
Okay. The missus, will this help to stabilize the economy as Hunter recycles excess dollars and turns them into cocaine?
I think so. I mean, he's plenty of money into the underground black market there, and certainly he's paying quite a bit of child support as well. So,
and
he alone could fight off a recession.
Here is my read. They found themselves doing something that's so ridiculously public and corrupt that even they feel guilty about it. So let's move on to more breaking.
Oh.
Breaking news.
NASA reports on a dare that an X-1 class solar flare has energy to spare. Sunday through Monday, causing a radio blackout over a chunk of the Pacific and the West Coast. Massive amounts of solar energy were pumped into the Earth. Mark, why did humans cause this solar flare?
Well, it's just the pure evilness of humans, but it's not all. It's just the white ones.
The missus? Would windmills or electric cars be the best thing to stop the anger of the angry sky god Gorto?
We have top men working on it right now.
Yeah, top men. Top men! But I'm going to go with, we should all be forced to walk everywhere that we go and wear corduroy pants while doing so. That way the friction of our legs rubbing together in our corduroy pants can be used to power the lights for the important people, i.e. Democrats.
And everyone will make a
That's right.
Zip, 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 zip sound as they walk.
Exactly.
And terrible notes, going back to the previous story, the judge said no alcohol in her drugs and has to submit to drug tests. So good luck on that one, Hunter. That's a good point.
Hey, I thought we were going to talk about another thing with Hunter there.
Oh, sure.
Did you forget about that? Yeah, this was the thing that I was kind of thinking about putting Brandon Magoo in as a third runner there for Jackass, but this is kind of from a while back. It's from February. And so I didn't feel that was fair to either the profs or Kamala because theirs were much more recent. So here's what President Brandon Magoo had to say about climate change back in February.
Look, if we don't move on the climate crisis, we're going to see the North Pole, as the kids would say. We're going to see those glaciers melting.
The North Pole, as the kids would say. So I thought, is this slang that young people use? Well, let's go to Urban Dictionary and find out, shall we? So Urban Dictionary tells us that, North Pole, as the kids would say, indicates the location of a massive amount of cocaine and sex paid for by stolen money. I wonder what kid Joe could have heard that from. It's a mystery.
I thought the North Pole was the stripper pole where Hunter was checking for. Well, okay.
Well, here's the example of it down here. Here's that $50,000 I stole. What should I do with this? Order a kilo of that New York delivery service cocaine and get a few escorts so we can make this the North Pole.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, moving along. Thousands of authors with smirks demand payment from AI companies for use of copyrighted works. Mark, does this mean that I owe money to the authors of those books that I read when I was 5 about the elephant that shot water out of its trunk, since I still remember it?
Yes.
The missus, why don't those authors owe us money for carrying around all their stupid ideas all these years?
Because you're just a briefcase for their ideas.
All right.
I don't know what that means.
Hey! You're supposed to feel blessed and humbled that they even deign to let you read their books.
Nope. As Jim Wetzel notes, Brandon, I got your note full. I got your note bill right here. So Trudeau has left.
And come on, Jim, we all know what that's actually code for.
Massive cannibalism.
Yeah.
So Trudeau has left us goals, but he is running behind in the polls. Mark, what will the world be like without the first Canadian Prime Minister to openly embrace the alphabet?
I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2+.
I don't know. Maybe he can go home to Cuba.
Go see his dad.
I must go home to live with my countrymen.
My people.
My people. I feel the need for a cigar. The missus, does the path to world power generally start with being a substitute drama teacher who dresses in blackface?
Oddly enough, it does.
Who
But
knew?
I thought it was being a mediocre artist.
It's just hilarious watching him, being 24, hanging around with those 16-year-old girls at parties drinking beer. But that's okay, because we do have more breaking.
Oh.
Breaking news.
We are not alone, and ET tried to use the phone. And in a senatorial session, a whistleblower was confessing that he knew where the spacecraft were hidden, verified that we had alien bodies, verified that people have been hurt trying to reverse engineer the craft, and verified that those aliens just might not be friendly. Mark, how does this relate to Hunter Biden?
Well, if you sort enough coke, everything looks like it's from aliens.
I think the missus has a theory on how this relates to Hunter Biden.
Do I?
Yeah, because you were saying it. Or did you just say words and then forget them?
Oh. Actually, I took that meme out of here because I had the aliens meme. Anytime we talk about aliens, it's just that they're trying to cover something that the Bidens are actually doing. Actually, though, Biden hears whistleblower, and then he apologizes because he didn't realize anyone knew he was asleep.
So the missus theory was that they're trotting the aliens out to take the heat off the Biden family for all these revelations that are going on through Congress.
Oh, no, here's the aliens meme. I found it. There it is.
See, that's perfect.
Yeah.
there's your. Well, your question on this item is: the missus, should Scully get her little legs moving?
She should totally get her little legs moving, and I have that somewhere. I'm not on the right page. I have too many. I need to go through and I need to clean out my.
Scully, get those
buttons.
little legs moving. Come on.
That's right. I'm glad you have that one. That's one of my favorites. But we have more breaking.
Breaking news.
All right, this is the last breaking news, so you can retire that one. Resistance is futile. The first room temperature ambient pressure superconductor reportedly was created in Korea. And it wasn't best Korea, it was worst Korea. If true, that's South Korea, it might be as big as splitting the atom or splitting the check at Arby's. It might change everything, rapidly increase available power from power plants by eliminating line losses, to creating computers that don't heat up as much, to maybe making controlled fusion more possible. Mark, do you think Pfizer will want to inject us with it?
They probably would. They'll figure out something. I mean, think how much they could charge per dose for that. And if they could make the governments cough it up as tax revenue like they did with the COVID vaccines.
It will make your blood superconducting. Trust me, it's good for you. The missus, will Hunter Biden try to snort it off a stripper's butt?
Yes, absolutely. And I do have to say, if you missed what the what Wilder was talking about there.
We can explain it more slowly if you need us to.
What? I had no idea what that's about. Okay. I'll just do this.
Frederick!
Oh, so I have a question for both of you on this one. Do you think the ATF will claim jurisdiction over handheld relativistic railguns?
They would love to, wouldn't they?
How cool would that be? Come on.
But it would require a change in the law because the law way it defines a firearm requires an explosion to propel the bullet.
So do you think they call it a destructive device?
They might do that.
Well, you think they've actually probably got a pretty good argument at that point. If you're shooting something at half the speed of light, I like that idea. Okay, so that's the last of the breaking news. But we do have one more story. Is the Zuck out of luck? His new app Threads might be dead because users just dropped off after the first week. Interestingly enough, people who were into Instagram and sharing pictures of their posture may not be interested in tweeting about politics. Mark, is it because Zuckerberg is an alien?
Well, I'm sure that's why he started the whole thing in the first place with Thread, because he wanted to try to distract people from using Twitter to complain about Biden.
That's a good one. The missus, would you rather use a social media app from Zuckerberg or the Zucker brothers?
Oh, definitely the Zucker brothers.
What do you think that would be like?
I'm not sure. Again, I had something first, and now I just can't find it.
We could just
but I did have this for that, and it was. Now you maybe lose that too. Mark Zuckerberg.
Loser.
I am not a loser. How dare you say that about me? I am a human. See, I drink water like humans.
See, I think that if they ever did, if the Zucker brothers ever came out with a social media app, they'd need to call it Matcha Grande.
I don't think I have that. That is not the airplane one I have.
No, but they'd never be over Matcha Grande.
I know, never over Matcha Grande.
All right. Well, was that fun for everybody? This wonderful week?
Oh, yeah.
I've got to say this is the most tightly packed and cerebral 38 minutes on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Just the absolute.
And guess what? Guess what I found?
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Ta-da.
That's what they would call their media app. They call their media app Shirley.
They have to call it Shirley.
Excellent. Well, on that note, thank you everyone once again for visiting us here at Bombs and Bants and When Did He Rants? I forgot our name.
Whatever it was called.
Yes. And we're once again at the very end. I do my best to mess up the missus from giving us a clean ending. I'm John.
Just do it to annoy me.
This is Mark. And
she's sulking.
And I'm the missus. Yo, come back now, you hear?